Chairman Grothman, Chairman Biggs, and members of the subcommittees, thank you for inviting me today to discuss a topic crucial to our national security and communities across the nation. I was honored to serve in the federal government beginning in the George H.W. Bush administration. In my 32 years of direct involvement in immigration, the southwest border has never been in such a crisis. Border Patrol agents here have apprehended more than 5.6 million illegal entrants since February of 2021, while CBP officers at the southwest border ports have encountered more than 500,000 more. Some 2.7 million of those aliens were expelled under Title 42, but that leaves 3.4 million others who were processed for removal under the Immigration Nationality Act. The fewer than 17,000 Border Patrol agents stationed at the southwest border have struggled to keep up with the migrant flow, and at times there have been just a handful of them to protect hundreds of miles of border. Consequently, more than 1.5 million other entrants have crossed the border illegally and made their way into the country scot-free. And tons of illegal drugs have flowed from Mexico into the United States, where they are hollowing out communities and killing record numbers of our fellow citizens. Listen to the administration spokesman, and you'll hear that those migrants are coming in overwhelming border agents because of endemic factors like poverty, crime, corruption, violence, and insecurity back home, as well as climate change and the lingering economic effects of the COVID pandemic. Such push factors do play some role, but as noted, most are endemic problems. For many were much worse in the past. In truth, the main and driving reason that more than 6 million aliens have come to the southwest border in the past 30 months is, as a federal judge found in March, the reasonable expectation that the administration will release them into the country where they'll remain indefinitely, if not forever. You see, rather than detaining aliens who cross illegally, as Congress's laws require, the administration is abrogating your authority to set limits on immigrant entries and creating new pathways by which other aliens may enter, including by turning the CBP One app from a tool to facilitate lawful entries into the country to a means by which inadmissible aliens can schedule when and where they will enter the country illegally. The administration contends that those aliens are seeking to enter illegally, which we heard in the opening statements. But that contention is legally and factually false. Regardless of whether inadmissible aliens cross between the ports or through them, the law requires that they be treated exactly the same and mandates their detention. Instead of detaining those aliens, however, the administration has released at least 2.2 million of them into the country, added some 1.5 million others who evaded apprehension, and more than 3.7 million aliens with no right to enter are now living and working in the United States. That's larger than the population of 5 congressional districts, or more people than live in Connecticut, the 29th largest state. If all the unaccompanied alien children who have been waived into the country were in one school district, it would be the 6th largest in the nation, and that does not include all of the children who came with adults in so-called family units. Schools will struggle to provide the children with even the most basic of education, and every student's education will suffer. Nearly all those migrants, adults and children, come with little or nothing, and with few skills and little schooling, meaning they'll disproportionately draw on state, local, and federal resources for support. Few, if any, will have health insurance and will rely on already strained emergency rooms and clinics for even the most basic forms of primary care. Even if the well-off here benefit from cheaper goods and services, those benefits are outweighed by the costs that are imposed on those Americans, both citizens and legal aliens, already struggling economically, who will fall farther behind. This is not a Biden versus Trump issue. No other president in history, not Presidents Clinton, Bush, or Obama, has ever placed the interests of those with no right to come to this country ahead of the well-being and security of the American people. As Barbara Jordan, civil rights icon, congresswoman, and chairman of President Clinton's Commission on Immigration Reform predicted nearly 30 years ago, that's destroying our national interest in legal immigration, as increasing numbers of Americans want to see cuts in the number of immigrants admitted lawfully every year. And none of that even touches on the harm to the migrants themselves. More than 2/3 are violently assaulted on the way here, and nearly 1/3 of female migrants are sexually assaulted. The children, who are used by adults and smugglers alike as pawns to ensure quick releases, are all traumatized. The Biden administration has made a choice at the southwest border to ignore the laws Congress has written. And the only ones benefiting are the smugglers and the cartels, rapacious and greedy criminals. By any definition, that's a bad choice and a worse deal for the American people and the rule of law. Thank you again for the invitation, and I look forward to your questions.